welcome you to the holy grave of Rav Elazar ben Azaria. He was the 10th generation of Ezra the scribe. He was a Kohen, a holy Kohen. And one day there needed to be a new Nasi, a new leader of the Sanhedrin. And they came to Rav Elazar and they asked him, would you be our Nasi? And the Talmud Yerushalmi says he was only 16 at the time. And Talmud Banjo says, how old was he?
16?
It says 18, right?
18.
It says he's 18. And so he looked in the mirror, he says, I don't even have a white beard. How can I take on such leadership? And what happened?
A miracle happened. Overnight, his beard became white.
Overnight, his beard became white like an old man of 70, right? Amazing. And what he gone to his wife and said, what am I going to do? And she said, trust in Hashem, trust in God, that when a person is needed to take on leadership, Hashem gives them the qualities and the information that they need. There's a story that Ger Rebbe, don't remember which one, that he was going to take on a new mantle. And so he came to, I believe he came to the previous Rebbe and he says, how am I going to do this? What do I know? And that night when the previous Rebbe was nifter, before he took on the job, the Rebbe came to him and taught him everything that he needed to know. So when a person is going to take on a position as a Rav or an important task of doing chesed, like we hear beautiful stories of the Holocaust, how people like Mike Tress and many people, they took on amazing things of saving 30,000, 40,000 people's lives. And they had no pre-existing knowledge of how to do these things, but Hashem gave them the tools because they had the willpower to make a difference and to serve God. And so he became Nasi. And what happened the day that he became Nasi?
As we said, the miracle happened and he turned over white. We tell this story, his beard turned white, and we tell this story every year in Pesach time.
It's a very famous story from the Gemara. And what had happened in the Beis Medrash?
That happened in the Beis Midrash when he took over. Previous Nasi Ador, Rabbi Gamliel, is a very dramatic story how Rabbi Elazar ben Azaria, how he became Nasi. A very dramatic story that's told in the Masechet of Brachos in the Gemara. How he was the previous Nasi Ador, Rabbi Gamliel, was overthrown in very dramatic circumstances, and which led to his uprise. Very overnight success story, you might like to call him. when his beard miraculously became white, he said the very famous phrase that we say every year in the Haggadah, Ani ben shivim, I'm like a 70-year-old man. Of course he wasn't. He was, as we said, 16, or as the Gemara says, 18 or 16, whichever Gemara you like to choose from.
And 7,000 seats were added to the base medrash that day that he became Nasi.
That's right.
And what did they take away? They took away all the gates, all the guards were taken out of the base medrash.
Yeah, Rabban Gamaliel was protected the base midrash. You might like to sort of like to only have the cream of the crop. When Reb Elazar took over, he said, break down the walls, get rid of the guard, open up the seats, and let get anyone into the base midrash. He had a different approach, a very open approach to learning Torah.
Now this is a problem. You can't you're supposed to put a fence around the Torah, the Gemara tells us. A fence in order to keep yourself out from the world of things that are improper from the outside world. But you don't put a fence around the base medrash, and it's unfortunate, but maybe we don't realize that we have fences around our yeshivas sometimes where people aren't good enough to stay. They're not quality enough students, and they're struggling, but that's when they need to be in the base medrash. That's when the open policy needs to be. So we have to be more open in the base medrash to take everyone in, not because they look different. Shouldn't put so many rules that keep people out. I remember I was going to I attended to this one yeshiva, and we had 10 pieces of paper as to how all the rules of the base medrash. One of it was you can't have the payas. Another one's you can't have a beard. Why are these rules? We're not supposed to make rules to keep people out of the base medrash. We're supposed to push them in the base medrash. Let's get rid of the rules. Let's let everyone learn Torah, the shalom, and keep it as a happy place, a place where people feel welcome. They walk in the door and they're greeted. There's so many people that are looking for kavrusas. No one wants to learn with them. They're all alone in the base medrash. They sit in the corner and they just disappear. We have to make the base medrash a good place.
He had a lot of very popular sayings, very wise sayings, Rav Elazar ben Azaria. One of them was, he said, with kashrus, especially things like eating, he said, with a pig, I want to eat the pig. Tastes good, why not? He says, I want to eat the pig, but Hashem says no, so I can't eat the pig. And Dafka, this is how we should approach Torah. The desires that Hashem placed within us, the desire to go against the will of Hashem. We have these desires. We naturally have them. It's inbuilt within ourselves. We want to do these things. We want to eat the pig, but we can't. Hashem said no. So we have an overriding factor. That's we have a Father in heaven who says, you can't eat the pig. So I guess
these laws are there that's showing us that Hashem cares about us, giving us laws. If a father doesn't give rules to his child, he just lets him free, the child doesn't respect him. The child doesn't grow up to improve and feel that love. Those rules are there to give us the closest to Hashem and to make it so when we don't do, it becomes a holy thing. That there's also a mitzvah of not doing something, not just the positive commandments, but when you don't do a negative commandment, it's a mitzvah. You have a song about kashrus, don't you?
Of course.
Banjo Billy album, yeah?
I think Reb Elazar ben Azaria was possibly my inspiration for when he said, I want to eat the pig, but I can't because Hashem says he just said, no thanks, I'm a kosher boy now. Well, I heard you say you're hungry, would you like some meat and cheese? And no thanks, I'm a kosher boy now. It's got nothing evil in it. It's just meat and cheese. No thanks, I'm a kosher boy now. Why don't you stop with this madness? Stop living in extremes. Now life's too short for this insanity. Well, the Bible was for yesterday. Yesterday's gone after all. It's just meat and cheese. After all, it's just meat and cheese. Oh, cheese that is. I've thrown in some ham. No thanks, I'm a kosher boy now. Listen, I promise you this soup is the best you'll ever have. And no thanks, I'm a kosher boy now. Please see some reason. Come in with me. Forget about this living by the book. Well, you're missing out on all the greatest pleasures that we have after all. Just a little ham. After all, it's just a little ham. shellfish, no thanks. Just a little dish, no thanks. We'll throw it in a kamish. No thanks, I'm push point. Dry kangaroo, no thanks. Pork vindaloo pots. What about a rabbit stew? No thanks, he was my rabbit. I'm a kosher boy now. Well, we're going out for a bite to eat to KFC, no thanks. I'm a kosher boy now. Well, we're only eating chicken. Make you feel at home? No thanks, I'm a kosher boy now. How long is this gonna last? You should go insane. Come back to the way it used to be. We'll still respect you in the morning. Just walk up for the road. After all, just KFC. After all, it's just a lamb. After all, it's just meat and cheese. Oh, cheese that is.
There's a famous Gemara in Tanis that says that parnasa, sustenance of a man and his family is as difficult as the splitting of the Red Sea. We also learn that finding one's b'sheret is as difficult as the splitting of the Red Sea. So what are we going to do about this?
Many things are compared to the impossible. Is it impossible for Hashem to split the sea? Of course it isn't. Is it impossible for him to do anything? Of course it isn't. So, I think one of the messages we can learn is that difficult things like getting parnasa and finding one's zivug and the share in this world is Kriya Shamsu, if it wasn't impossible for Hashem, he just chose the right moment to do it. And that's really what it's all about for us. He chooses the right moments to perform little miracles for us as well. A little job here, a little cash there, and suddenly we've got Shabbos on the table. We didn't have before.
So Amunah, faith in God, and parnasa, sustenance go hand in hand. So we just have to believe, and that's the way to do it. You know, the Biala Rebbe once came to Rav Schneerson, and he said to him, what are we going to do about parnasa? So many Jews are suffering. And so the Rebbe said, we have to give charity. More people would give charity, would give 10% they're supposed to give to Meiser off any income they get. Hashem says, Chazal teach us, the rabbis, that you got to give 10% to charity. If people were more consistent with that and more mafia and they gave more charity, then the parnasa trouble of all of Israel would be better.
And who better example than Reb Elazar ben Azaria, who was a very, very wealthy man. He owned vineyards, he owned orchards, he owned everything, and he gave every year 12,000 calves as mice.
And he was a poor man, then overnight he became rich. So us too, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We have to have faith that Hashem is going to take care of our meal. And it says, Rav Aaron Rutz says in Shulchan Torah that the person has to pray every day for the next day's sustenance. And if they don't do that, it's like they're an animal. Hashem just feeds all flesh. He always will feed all people and take care of you. He takes care of the ant, he takes care of the worm on the ground. So of course he's going to take care of you. But if you pray for that for the next day and then you have faith, that's when true life is. That's when everything becomes real. We need a song. We need a song about faith.
la 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 la
This very day, oh yeah, 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 This is something that Reb Elazar ben Azaria knew and understood and appreciated, and that's why he got all the money.